Welcome to the Gemini Empath. My name is Blake. I'm an intuitive energy reader here on YouTube as well as TikTok. And I'm here to share me and my story fresh. I've started a couple of channels before, and that was during a lot of chaos and challenge and difficulty, which I'll touch on. But it's been a long time coming. I'm not going to lie. I'm 36 years old, millennial born 1990. So shout out to my millennials, but it's been a long, crazy ride. And I just wanted to make this introduction video just so that you can get a better understanding of who I am, what I'm about, and what I'm here to do. So it won't be a crazy long video, so don't worry. But if it does get long, then feel free to pause and come back later. But yeah, so I'm born and raised in Texas. Ever since birth, I always felt I had this very, very strong knowing that I'm different, that I felt different, I saw things differently. But not to mention being gay, that also was something very different, especially compared to my other 3 brothers and 2 sisters. And, didn't fit in quite well. Not only that, but I was living with parents that were both alcoholics and a father that was physically abusive, mainly towards me, sometimes my mother as well. But there was definitely addiction, and that ran through my family, extended family as well, mainly alcoholism. But it was a lot to handle as a kid. Not only feeling different, being labeled gay when I didn't even know what it was. My parents didn't even explain it to me really. They knew before I knew, and they didn't want to educate me. That's, I guess, a whole nother story. But it was just rough. Also, like being bullied in school and at home by siblings, while also dealing with physical abuse by my father. For being different and being outspoken to injustice. But even on top of all of that, I had a physical deformity in my chest because my sternum, and no one else in my lineage, as far as I know, has had this, because no one really knows about it. But my sternum basically was protruding because the way my cartilage grew in my ribs, it was pushing it out. Thank God I was blessed with being able to get surgery. That is one of the main good things my father did do for me, because he saw how much I was struggling. Yet there were a lot of times where, outside of that, the majority of time I was not being taken care of or supported in a lot of different ways. And so, it was a lot of different layers happening at one time. And being someone who is very sensitive, emotionally and also intuitively, not being able to fully understand what I'm experiencing and no one to really talk to about it without feeling crazy. But I definitely felt like an alien. I definitely felt like an outcast. I would even ask my mom, like, was I adopted? Because I don't feel like I belong here. Like, are you sure you're my mother? But these are things you ask as a kid who feels very lost and misunderstood. So, a lot of that pushed me into a lot of sadness, disappointment, depression, anxiety, not to mention being in fight or flight a lot of the time, dealing with a lot of the verbal and physical abuse that, I mainly was dealing with. But of course, the whole family is affected by it because, it's a ripple effect. And, again, I won't go into too much detail and everything, just because, I'll save that up maybe for my book or something, but just so that you can maybe get an idea of where I've been and what I've been able to overcome. And that's why I wanted to tell my story, so that I can let others know that you're not alone in this, especially my fellow millennials that feel a little lost or confused, or just not feeling like you've had your sure footing in life yet, or are still trying to figure things out, even at this period in your life. And also, and importantly, to let you know that you're not alone in this experience, that there are others also going through it too. And I feel like I just said that, but but what I'm just really trying to say is, I made it through. I was able to overcome a lot of obstacles, even though there were a lot of challenges along the way. But I always had this strong urge and sense to continue researching, to continue learning and growing. Uh, Initially, I got led into Christianity and that way of spirituality, just mainly for myself. Not because there was so much about religion that I necessarily agreed with, especially being a homosexual. It's just like, I mean, you're already basically damned to hell with that sin alone. And so there was just a lot of questioning within me, like, okay, you're talking in the religion of Christianity, like, I would just my take was like, okay, you're talking about this all loving, unconditional, loving God that's damning me to hell, even though He made me and His image, mind you. And I'm just already damned to a sinful life, and I got to change my ways. And if I don't, I'm going to hell. And but yet they're not following the rules either, according to the scriptures. And so there was just a lot of contradiction and confusion. But I just always had this strong knowing within me, like, this isn't it, because it didn't sit right in my soul, didn't sit right in my heart. And I believe in Jesus. I still do. I 100% believe He was a person on this earth. But I do believe that He was someone who was able to connect with what I call God is source. Or I mean, I still call God, source, the universe. But Jesus is a soul just like each and every one of us. He's a part of that source, just like each and every one of us. And I still call on Him too. So it's not like I've gotten rid of like praying and things like that. I pray all the time, set intentions all the time. But yeah, I just was very confused, but still hadn't really found my way. And mind you, this was like when I was in my late teens, early 20s. And as I got into my late 20s, I did meet my ex. I mean, I had one ex before that, but that was like a chaotic, abusive relationship. And he was cheating on me and everything. So left that. I ended up leaving Texas to go to Florida, where I was with my grandmother, and there I learned. That's where I had like my major first awakening, because I met my second ex, also very abusive relationship, and unhealthy in a lot of ways. But it was just that one relationship that like hits you, like you think they're the one, but you come to find out later on they're just the catalyst for your awakening, for your evolution, for your growth, soul contract type of energy. And so I was in Florida for about 5 years, but it wasn't until like 2018 that this person told me about Abraham Hicks. When I learned about Abraham Hicks, my entire life shifted. Granted, I will say things did continue in unhealthy patterns and habits and routines, and dealing with unhealthy relationships and things like that, family and non, like family, friends, coworkers, love relationships. But to be honest, I've only had two major like love relationships or romantic relationships, serious relationships. But they just weren't a match to what I truly was looking for. Because honestly, I was trying to find myself, and I hadn't found myself. I was looking for that validation and acceptance and worthiness through other people, instead of realizing that I had it all along, through God. And Abraham Hicks was like, I mean, just her cadence, her voice, reminded me of a grandmother I had, or like I think it was like a babysitter. I can't remember if it was my grandmother or my, kind of a mixture, but it was just, I was going to say a babysitter that I had growing up. She had a very similar calming voice. I guess what I'm just trying to say is like, she had a very soothing, calming voice, similar to like a grandmother, maternal, nurturing kind of voice that just really spoke to my soul in a way that most voices haven't. And so listening to Abraham Hicks and what she was saying was validating all of the questions that I had, all of the confusion that I had. Granted, I will say, like, learning that I attracted my abuse, that I attracted toxic behaviors from love relationships, from family, from friends, like to think that I was at fault for bringing all of this to me over and over and over again. That was a hard pill to swallow. But looking at it through clear lens, through 2020 lens, it all makes perfect sense, because when you are in a place mentally and emotionally and physically that is so low vibrational. And granted, yeah, what I went through happened and it was real and it was a shit show, but um, it's what, because of the environment I was in, I was just regurgitating what was in my environment, and I didn't know any better. It was just happening without me knowing. But it wasn't until like I got older that I was just like, my, I'm not going to be what my bad experiences were, if that makes sense. It's like, I'm not going to be like my dad. I'm not going to be like my family. I made it in my core and my soul, mission and purpose that I would be better than that. And I never had that in me. Like, I'm not perfect. Granted, I've made mistakes, said some things maybe I shouldn't have, but at the same time, I never did what these people did to me. And, you know, and so it was empowering, but also a really big, valuable lesson when it came to like what I was accepting and allowing and attracting into my life, and that I had the power to change it. Granted, I still was going through like the dark night of the soul, and during this time in Florida, because the abuse continued with my ex. That didn't end up working out because one final straw of like something going horribly wrong. And at the same time, my grandmother that was there, who lived until 93, she passed away. So living in Florida just wasn't the same for me anymore after that. I was just very heartbroken. And I didn't like where I was living. Like, I was already struggling financially. So I was like, let me just go back home to Texas and live with family. Like, that's a good idea. I mean, at the time, I didn't really have much of a choice, because it's like, you either go back to this unhealthy environment, or you're like either on the street or having to go to a shelter, or whatever the case is. And I've had situations, unfortunately, multiple times where that almost happened. Luckily, it never did. But it was just a kind of like trying to get away from one bad situation, but unfortunately went right into another very unhealthy situation with family. Because I mean, even in Florida, when I was trying to take care of my grandmother, like, no one lived around her. She lived at home by herself. So it was just me trying to help out, and then my mother also around that same time, before I forget, she also started showing signs of dementia. So that was a whole nother huge pill to swallow. So it just seemed like, even after learning these empowering things about law of attraction, it wasn't something that I could just snap my fingers and like, oh, I feel good, so everything's going to be better now. Like, life still life still life 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 is still lifing, regardless of attraction or not. So, but it was a lot to still process, a lot to still learn. And so, and being alone in all of that, like, even family members that did have experience with those with dementia, because apparently it ran through my mother's side. uh, they all turned their back on me. Like, literally no one would help me with it. I mean, obviously that's not something you can really do. I mean, you can't cure dementia, but I mean, maybe you can. That's again a law of attraction thing, but I do believe you can heal anything. I mean, obviously I haven't seen it with my own eyes, so there's still that human aspect to healing. Um, but I just heard a noise in my room. I swear I hear things around from time to time, so I'm sure it's just spirit. But yeah, I'm getting a little long-winded here, so I may end up cutting some of this, but I'm trying to keep it as raw as possible. But and as a Gemini, not trying to be too wordy or long-winded again, but basically it was a lot to handle and process at one time for one person. So I go back to Texas. I'm staying with my father at the time. Like, things have changed, obviously, gotten older and stuff like that, but the relationship didn't really change. We just never had a close connection. Me and my father, like, he even still drank until he couldn't anymore, because otherwise he would have died. It was like a whole thing with that too. But even the abuse still continued. Like, he would still get in my face, act like he was going to hit me. He has hit me in the past multiple times, gotten in fights, things like that. And I already, like, living there, I was already in despair and sadness and grief, honestly, because I lost my who I thought was the one. I lost my grandmother, my last grandparent, by the way, and found out that my mother has an incurable mental illness that no one cares to try to help me with or even talk about or try to process. And then, having to be in a home where not only do I have no real emotional connection or collaboration or like support, mental emotional support. I was getting some financial support just in other things, like trying to survive because I'm like barely functioning. Um, and so that was really tough, and just having a lot of pressure, like, from him, like, you need to be doing this, you need to be doing that, and you need to go, or you need to get out, or getting in arguments over stupid crap, and of course him being an alcoholic and getting drunk and irate and all these things. And so mind you, this was bleeding into like my 30s, and it's like I'm in my fucking 30s and still dealing with shit I was dealing with as a kid. Like, mind you, I was getting yelled at, screamed at, hit on, like, my whole childhood. Then I was dealing with that at home, going to school and getting bullied and made fun of for being gay. And so it was just like day in and day out, hardly catching a break. And so it was just a lot of that throughout my entire life. I mean, luckily getting out of high school, I know I'm kind of jumping around a little bit, but hopefully you're following. But pretty much after high school, I just kind of was like, F everybody, I'm doing my own thing. And I am who I am. You either like it or you don't. And so that's another thing I had always had, was a fight in me. That's why it's like I've had this strong, energetic, like, well of power within me and ability to like process so much so young. And I think I just got so used to it. It became kind of like a superpower, or like a badge of honor, or like a weapon in a way, because it's like I couldn't, even though I was hurt in a lot of ways, I didn't really let people see it. Like, I kind of kept the resting bitch face, so to speak, which hopefully I don't have so much anymore. But yeah, it's just I really had to fight my way. I was like always in fight or flight, on guard, waiting for some attack to come through. And but with the willpower that I've always had, has been just to keep going and survive. Like, I mean, I've had times in my life where it got so dark, I contemplated not being here anymore. But it was just like the like two times I considered it when I was younger. Like, this was like in my teens and even younger. Actually, even I think it was like I was maybe like 10, 11, 12 when the first time happened that I considered. The other time was like, I think later in my teens. But yeah, it's like it's that heavy because you just feel so alone. But there was always that voice inside that was like, it's almost like it was my own voice, but I was telling myself, like, are we really gonna let these fuckers like ruin what I am? Like, I'm so much more worth than this. Like, I don't, that's not what I want. That's never what I wanted. But it's just like, you get in such a low vibe sense of pain and sadness and disappointment, and unworthiness and lack of attention and care and support from, family members. I'm wanting to really say that with all of this chaos, I have still been able to have a smile, like, still find laughter. Like, that's why I felt this well of just spiritual energy of like, feeling supported, getting repeating numbers, getting signs, synchronicities. Again, having very strong intuition of like, I know I'm meant for something greater than what I have experienced, and capable of so much more. And even just through my own research of spirituality, and then into the chaos of the music industry and how satanic things can be, and just, I mean, with the paranormal experiences that I had in the house I grew up in, like seeing a toy fly across the room, having someone blow on my neck and you turn and literally no one is there, stuff like that. Always feel like you're being watched, kind of stuff, and weird things happening at night. So I just always knew, like, there was just no question, no doubt in my mind that there was so much more going on than met the eye. But of course, like, other than basically my younger sister, no one else really saw things that way. It was just like, yeah, okay, whatever, you're crazy, you're just imagining things or dreaming or whatever the case is. And my younger sister, we were pretty close growing up, but we would fight a lot. My brothers basically bullied me. The siblings from my dad's first marriage were gone all the time, so they were never involved. But it's just like I didn't really have anyone to talk to about this stuff, and so it's just like. But I just have been able to talk to God, in my own way. That's changed a little bit over time, but the core of it has really stayed the same. In that whether I'm praying to Jesus, God, the universe, my higher self, my spirit guides, whoever it may be, it's all coming from that unconditional love of light and goodness and positivity. And so it's like it's that in and of itself. Again, with what all I've experienced, like to be able to still have that intuitive, emotional, mental, and spiritual strength to be able to physically like process and process the experiences that I've had. But it's helped me. It's helped me become stronger. I've been able to use these gifts, this power, to be able to transmute what has hurt me, what has knocked me down time and time and time again, over and over and over for decades, honestly. It's the only thing that has kept me going. It's the only thing that has helped me stay true to myself, that has been able to stand on my own, even when it felt like the whole world was against me. And so, I just was on my own. Like I followed my own spiritual path. People didn't have to believe it. People, would judge and things like that. But I always was just like, that's fine. I'm not here to make anyone believe what I believe or think what I think or know what I know. It's just, but I'm, especially as a Gemini, I'm going to speak my piece when I see fit. And I'm always that person to stand up for what's right, for what's just, for what's good. Because I'm a good person and I try to be that positive change in the world that I want to see. Even when people are spitting in your face, it's still sitting there with a smile. But okay, and I'm still here. I'm not going anywhere. Just because you do this doesn't mean I'm just gonna just because you say jump, I jump. Like, no, for what? And so that's another reason why it's like I've just been able to keep the higher perspective of a lot of these things are just attracted because of the energy that we're in for so long. And then you just get so used to that. And it's like, well, why is all this happening? Well, it's because of your energy and your thoughts and your feelings and what you're attracting with that energy. It's like gravity. You throw something up, it's going to come down. It's just, or you put two magnets together, they're going to stick together. So it's just kind of the natural order of how this universe is created. While it can be debilitating and feel powerless, you have the choice to look at it from the opposite side, that it is empowering and that you have the ability just through your mind and your emotions and your thoughts and your actions to literally create the reality that you want, whatever you want to be, do, or have. And yeah, we're still all on that journey. I don't have my whole life together, but that's why I wanted to make this YouTube channel, to not only share my gift of channeling spirit through my intuition, using tarot cards, doing scribbling, or just channeling through my intuition and speaking through spirit to help others on their path, on their journey, to help understand who they are and who they want to be. And I'm all here for that. That's all I ever try to do, is to be that change I want to see in the world. And that's goodness, that's love, that's positivity, that's upliftment. Yeah, there's going to be shit. Yeah, there's going to be contrast or lessons or, cycles of shit. But it's like, that's what makes the good stuff better. That's what makes it all worthwhile, is because you're able to rise above all of what you don't like and choose through the buffet of life what you do like, what you do want. And I feel like there is such a mass awakening, or has been for a long while, obviously, especially since social media came about, that we're all awakening to this idea that we are, not idea, truth, that we are so much more than these physical bodies, and that this planet is so much more than what we thought or we're told it was. We're not alone in the universe. There's just so many things coming out that are awakening people to new ways of thinking and seeing and even living life, which I love and I want to be a part of. That's always what I felt called to do, was to help others with my experience and with my knowledge and with my intuitive wisdom to not only guide myself, but guide myself to guide others. You know what I'm saying? So um, I also feel like there has been a lot of intensity with 2026 being the year of the fire horse. There is a lot of intensity, chaos, passion, good and bad, that is swirling around. And I also feel like 2025, as a lot of you know, especially those of you who are light workers, if you want to call it that, spiritual workers, I guess you could say, intuitives, channelers, whatever it may be, we've all felt, especially in 2025, of how crazy that year was. And I know it was like for me, it was one of the toughest, most challenging times of my entire life. And I've been through, as I've told you for the most part, been through a lot of shit. But this was like on another level because long story short, was thrown back into my family environment after leaving a very toxic job where I was the only employee and everything was dumped on my shoulders. Being in a new state, which was New Hampshire, for like, I was there for a year, but I was only at this job for like less than 6 months, and lost my other employees, so I was the only one and two managers, and so that was really chaotic. And then was having car issues and couldn't afford that, then couldn't afford my rent. I had to go live with my mother, who, mind you, has dementia. And it was like very chaotic there too, because it's like no one's around. I'm estranged from all my other siblings. None of us talk. No one really likes each other. And while staying with my mother, dealing with her volatile like behavior and major signs of dementia, of like leaving her car door open, or getting lost driving somewhere, or not really sure where her car keys are, even though she was holding them in her hands, like stuff like that, like hoarding. Like her whole entire house was like hoarded with stuff, and I had to clean it all, but no one else was there helping. Mind you, she has like my other three siblings live within like a 15-minute drive, 15-20-minute drive, 30 minutes maybe at the most. But it's like they don't come around. And so, but of course, me being there with her and voicing that there's been issues, I got the hammer on the head. And unfortunately, me and my mother got into it one time because she was acting very strange and I was voicing about that. And so she was like, "Oh, well, I'm gonna call your brothers and have them, or come have people drag you out," like kicking me out of the house, basically. And so unfortunately, one of my brothers did actually end up coming over, but was like, just started accusing me of something that wasn't true involving money. And he had no connection, no relationship with me for years, most of my life, never talk. It's like, you don't know anything. And he comes over and straight up attacks me, blaming me these things. And I defended myself, and I snapped and defended myself after being attacked. And because of that, I got kicked out of the house. A restraining order was put on me and everything. It was like insane. I'm like, okay, so I'm asking for help and you guys attack me and throw me out to the street. Like, I had nothing. Like, they were telling me to go stay at a shelter, even though they have multiple bedroom houses that are empty. But of course, it's like being involved with a family that has never really wanted to see you win, see you thrive, never taught you how to open a bank account, never taught you how to live life. Like, we're always checked out. And then when they were checked in, it was like, you're full of shit and you're nothing and you're this and you're that, and being beaten on and all this kind of stuff day in and day out. And so it's just, it never changed. And, being in my mid 30s, feeling like that little kid again was really fucking hard. And it's interesting because I've even recently been hearing stories from other light workers, other spiritual workers here on YouTube, that have been going through similar situations where they've just like had these huge blowouts with like family or other people, or being traumatized, being bullied, being victimized in a lot of ways. And all when we're just trying to be there, like be a good person and help and support and be loving and bring people together, but yet somehow that's an issue for a lot of people. So long story short, I guess I'm just saying, like, it was a very challenging time, but I had to finally make the call that I didn't want to make, was to cut everyone off. I'm in my new apartment. I'm doing good on my own. I got a stable, secure job. I got my cat Binks. He's over there sleeping on the rug, but you'll see him in other videos. But yeah, it's like, I'm good now, but it was dark because I had to like stay in a hotel for like 6 months. And I was really struggling, like literally only had one day off a week, if even that. Like I was running myself into the ground. Like I lost so much weight and I was sick a lot of the time. I was severely depressed. But I stopped drinking too much. I stopped smoking. Of course I had my little fun with my little gummies or whatever, some like on the weekends, but I'm not in that environment where there's addiction and abuse and just straight dysfunctional turmoil and drama, just nothing but drama, and I just feel like this is a time for me. And I think this kind of brings us to the main point of this video, is that all of this insanity in my life has helped me become this person that I hit my mic. This person that I love so much here in this physical body. Like I have, like, through this insanity, I have found within myself a level of love and deep connection with source, with my being, my soul, my connection with this universe, my connection with this planet. Like it's something that I've never really found before, not this level, not this way. And also being able to finally like be okay. Like I don't feel that heavy grief anymore. Like, yeah, sometimes I get sad. Sometimes I miss having people around, like, because I mean, it wasn't all shit. Like there were some good times, but it's just, there was so much darkness. It really diluted the light, and it felt like I was the only one trying to bring the light to the situation. And again, I'm not perfect. I'm not saying, I was always rainbows and sunshine, but then again, when you're in battle mode, when you're in survival mode, just trying to live, basically, it's like, and being treated as though you're a problem and told literally you're the fault of all the problems in your entire family. It's like, just for all trying to, again, be a good person and do the right thing and try to rise above and be the change, stop that chain of pain. And so a lot of that is, again, a reason why I felt called to do something with my gifts. And that, and I'll just say too, that's where I learned about tarot. My younger sister was someone who, I guess, would watch videos here and there, but wasn't that into it. She just happened to send me a video one day, and from that day forward, I had been interested in tarot. And that was like 2018, 2019. It was right after I had learned about Abraham Hicks. And so I started doing tarot myself. I'm fully self-taught, but a lot of it is intuition. I don't go off just cards. I go off of my gut instinct, my intuition, signs, synchronicities, how I'm feeling. As an empath reader, I legit get physical sensations in my body. It could be chills. It could be my nose itching, my ear ringing, feeling like someone touching me, or hearing auditory voices, or whatever you want to say, a clear audience, clear sentience, things like that. Even smells, like I get smells as well. I don't remember what the technical term is for that. But yeah, I get a lot of intuitive hits in different types of senses. I dream very heavily as well, very, very vividly. Sometimes it has been having premonitions and things like that. They don't always come true, but sometimes they have. And but telepathy, like, especially when it comes to, like, I don't know, I guess you would call it premonitions too, like outside of a dream. It's like, I think of someone calling and then they call. I'm talking with someone and I know exactly what they're going to say and then they say it, but I don't have, like, I'm not as accustomed to like just saying it. I'm not that quick yet. I'm still learning too. So FYI, like, I'm not like a complete expert. I mean, I feel like I'm very much an advanced professional, but I've just scratched the surface. Like, I want to learn how to astral project. I want to learn mediumship. I want to have these spiritual experiences. I want to connect with extraterrestrials. I want to help integrate this planet to this new level of knowing and being and connecting with what's really out there, and not just living in this false sense of reality through just what's on social media or what's told in our government, basically. But anyways, that's a whole nother story in and of itself. But again, I've been drawn to put myself out there more. I started 2 other YouTube channels before. The first time I did it, I just didn't really know what I was doing on YouTube, and so I kind of messed up that channel. So I ended up canning it and then starting over with something else. And that's when I created the Gemini Empath, which I had before. But then as I was doing that channel, that was actually during a lot of that chaos within the past 3 years, I would say. Yeah, 3-4 years it's been that I've pretty much been working with tarot and off and on doing it online. The most successful I had was with my channel, the Gemini Empath, but because I was going through a very dark time this past year, I ended up leaving it and just deleting it altogether. Partly regret that, but can't do anything about it now. So this is a fresh slate for me, Blake, as the Gemini Empath, because that's what I am, and I feel like it's very fitting with what I do. But yeah, I'm here to help people. I'm here to share love and positivity and connect with spirit, because spirit is in everything and in all of us, and is always communicating to us. And I feel like in this great time of awakening, it's important for us to share our story, to connect with one another. I even plan on doing a podcast eventually once I get more established. So definitely looking forward to a lot of different business ventures with my YouTube channel. If you're on TikTok as well, I'm under the same name, the Gemini Empath. So if you want to look me up over there, you can, as I will be going live over there, as well as here once I get approved for that. But I do want to thank you for listening this far. I hope all of that made sense. I actually wasn't really planning on doing the video right now, but I felt called to do it, and here we are. So it's done. And I just, again, hope all that made sense. Hopefully followed some sort of clear path and, helps you better understand who I am and what I'm here to do on this YouTube channel. I will be posting tarot readings. That's mostly what I will be doing, but I will be also tapping into other channeling methods, doing psychic readings and mediumship and things like that. So I'm very excited for this journey. I'm really happy to be here. I hope you guys connect with me and my energy. Definitely let me know in the comments if you would like to let me know if anything I said connects or resonates with you in your life journey, and maybe what you would like to see on my channel, the Gemini Empath. But God bless you. Thank you so much for being here. And until next time, have a blessed day.